Investigations underway, blame being spread all over for the Kanjuruhan tragedy the other day in Malang. And some new visa information has been released last week, and I'm going to talk about it today as much as I can. So stay tuned for details. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. It's October 6, 2022, and my name is Bruce. And it is hot and muggy. The other day, you heard the thunder, and right after I finished the video, wow, we got our first rain in Singaraja in, 2-3 months, and it was a doozy. We got flooding in the house. It was 3 hours, and, well, Singaraja was flooding. There are some interesting photos, if I can find a few to put up. What is the weather like today? It is hot, 31 degrees. Humidity, 73%, cloudy and hazy. Not the most pleasant day, but hey, it's paradise, right? The wind temperature is a very mild 4.5 kilometers per hour, and I hope the weather is good wherever you are. It's a lot of stuff to do. Let's get started with the numbers. And the numbers are stable, up a little bit from the other day, but that is not unusual because the other day was Monday. National new cases, 1,851. National recoveries, 1,538. National deaths, 13. Bali new cases, up to 36, but still below 50. Bali recoveries, 26. And Bali deaths, 0. And what about the weekly positivity rate? Still the same, obviously, 5.93. And good news, daily positivity rate is down to 6. And so, not bad on the numbers. And as I've said in many places, people are acting like COVID is over. And, well, we got a story about that coming up with Jokowi. And now for the main story, the tragedy in Malang. PSSI dodges blame for Kanjuruhan tragedy. PSSI is the Soccer Association of Indonesia. The Soccer Association of Indonesia's disciplinary committee on Tuesday deemed Arema FC to be at fault for Saturday's tragedy in Malang. The committee fined the Malang-based soccer club 250 million rupiahs, about $16,000 despite calls for PSSI members, including the chairman, to take responsibility for the disaster and to resign. Aside from the fine, PSSI also barred Arema from playing at home for the rest of Liga 1 season. All the matches where they are the home team have to be played in a stadium at least 250 kilometers away from Malang. I guess that's supposed to keep their supporters from traveling there. So where is the blame going at this point? It's going to the club, right, and to the supporters. The Malang tragedy was the third deadliest soccer-related disaster in history and the deadliest in Asia. The PSSI Disciplinary Committee also punished 2 Arema officials who were held to be responsible for the incident. Arema's head of the executive committee, Abdul Harris, and head of security, Sutrisno, have been given lifetime bans from Indonesia soccer effective immediately. PSSI said Abdul was responsible for ensuring the safety of the event. He had to anticipate every outcome, Irwin said, and he failed to do that. He cited the locked gates, which partly caused the pileup and asphyxiation of many of the victims as evidence of Abdul's negligence. As a disciplinary committee, Irwin noted that he had no authority to press criminal charges. That's the realm of the police, he said. Crucially, the committee's decision absolves PSSI of any responsibility so far, despite repeated calls for members of the soccer governing body to resign. PSSI's actions are in line with the national police, who have so far punished only police officers who were on duty during the stampede. Well, not just the police officers. The highest ranking officer who was punished was the Malang police chief, and he was transferred to the Human Resources Division of the National Police, while senior officials of the National Police have so far not been involved in the blame. 9 police officers were fired from the force. These decisions are exactly the scenario, according to Maduro United president, who said on Sunday, don't shift the blame only to Arima, as if the responsibility is limited to those who organized the match in Malang. He said PSSI should not be in charge of any investigation, and the authority should be given to the Youth and Sports Ministry or the National Sports Council. As a sign of respect to the victims and their loved ones, he encouraged the PSSI management to resign from their post. And Indonesian Police Watch Chairman Laksono concurred and called on PSSI chairman to take responsibility and step down. Sono also encouraged the government to form a fact-finding team and reveal the parties responsible for the disaster and review the security procedures used in the match. And Pak Jokowi has instructed coordinating political, legal, and security affairs minister Mahfud to form an independent fact-finding investigative team. This team will be led by Mahfud himself, and it's composed also of academics, observers of the local soccer scene, I don't know what that means, journalists, and the military. According to Minister Mahfud, hopefully we can finish our investigation in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And there are people who are afraid that this is going to be swept under the rug as the investigation gets drawn out. Doubling down on their criticism of PSSI, several analysts are also calling for FIFA to hand down sanctions to PSSI, citing a lack of trust. According to politician Akbar Faisal of the NASDEM party, he pleaded for FIFA to punish PSSI and described them as amateurs. And he also said Indonesia's status as the host of the 2023 U20 World Cup should be revoked. In September, Youth and Sports Minister Amali reaffirmed the country's readiness to host the tournament, which is now in jeopardy. PSSI said that they've been in contact with FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation, and that representatives from both governing bodies will visit Indonesia at an unspecified date. According to Pak Ahmed from the PSSI, he said hopefully FIFA can see how the government has responded to the tragedy and realize that this is the fault of several bad apples, and that both the government and police have reacted quickly in handling the case. And so there is a lot of public discontent about the way this is being handled already. And police have said, be patient. More on the Malang tragedy, tear gas orders in Kanjuruhan tragedy under investigation. So the National Police Commission, or Kompolnas, on Tuesday said that an investigation team of the football match is still conducting an inquiry into the use of tear gas and who authorized it. According to a spokesperson, we're studying this because at the time, the Malang police chief, who, as I mentioned in the previous one, has been removed from his post and given an administrative job, he was not at the scene and was guarding the Persebaya team outside the venue. According to the spokesperson for the police commission, he believes such an order, though could possibly be an indirect one, is suspected to come from an official. And he said, we are hunting down the person. The former Malang police chief claims he never issued a direct order to utilize tear gas against the agitated crowd. And so what is sure, 125 deaths have been confirmed. Almost 200 more have been hospitalized, treated, and many of them have been released. And in Bali, the Gianyar police and Bali United supporters hold a joint prayer for the victims of the Kanjuruhan tragedy. Thousands of supporters of Bali United and the Gianyar Resort Police held a prayer together at the stadium in Gianyar to pray for the victims of the tragedy. Representatives from Bali United supporters said that now is not the time to blame each other. Life is not comparable to football. From football, we learn to love for the sake of the symbol on the chest. He said there's nothing wrong with supporting a team wholeheartedly, but if life is at stake, it's a mistake. Football unites, should not be lethal. Let's get together, maintain, and create a friendly attitude at the stadiums for everyone. The prayer activity continued with a moment's silence by lighting a candle, which was followed by all participants present at the stadium in Gianyar. And similar ceremonies are being carried out around Indonesia. Okay, there's two different circulars that came out. And this one, the first one here, is about visa on arrival and free visit visas. There's not a whole lot of changes here. The big thing I can make out of this is that you can pay for the VOA before you get to Indonesia. You can pay online. It says payment of PNBP tariff, that's the 500,000 rupees you have to pay to get the visa on arrival can be made outside the territory of Indonesia through PNBP payment facilities portals. Now, I've not heard about anybody online doing this yet, and I checked on immigration just a little while ago, and it says that you can do that, but I couldn't find any information about where to do it or how to do it. So if anybody's got some firsthand experience, please leave a comment below. In the event that the PNBP payment facility portal is not yet available, foreigners can make payment at the service counter at the airport when you arrive. And that takes effect on the 23rd of September. Links down below if you want to take a look at it. And that was the only thing I could see that was a big change there. That is good, though. If you want to bypass waiting for all this and you can pay before you come, wow, why not? Then you got your stamp or whatever proof you've got that you paid, and you can go through. Cut down on lining up, queuing. And the second circular, effective September 23rd, and this information came out, I think, on the 29th, and then it was effective on the 23rd. Who knew? So this is about visit visas, and it's single entry and multiple trip visit visa. You have to have a guarantor. I'm just going to go over the main points here. You have to have a guarantor for both types of visas. That can be a travel agency, a tourist agency, or hotel. The visit visa for one time, you can stay for 60 days, no more than 60 days, and can be submitted to the immigration officer or foreign service appointed at the representative of Republic of Indonesia abroad. So we were talking about this on the channel, I don't know what, last month or something, that, oh, you can't go to the embassy anymore and get this. According to this, you can. Now, you have to have a sponsor. So how does that work? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. You get a sponsor, you contact the travel agency, they send you the documents, you take the documents, you go to the embassy or the consulate, you give them the documents, and then they give you the visa. That's what I'm guessing you would do. Has anybody done this yet? If you have, leave a comment. But this makes things a little more certain for people that want to come here and want the visa before they leave. The visa applications for single entry can be for vacation, government duty visits, business talk visits, purchasing of goods, meetings, visits for humanitarian purposes, transit, journalistic visits. Applications for a stay permit through the visa application can be applied on shore still. So you can come in, you can apply for another visa here in Indonesia. In the old days, you couldn't, you had to leave the country and do it. And that was changed during the COVID period, and that is still in effect. How long it's going to be in effect, I don't know. If President Jokowi declares the pandemic over, things may change again. You can extend the single visit 3 times and not more than 180 days. Price is $2 million per extension, not including agent fees. And the multiple trip visa is out again. And so you can make multiple trips over a 12-month period, no more than 60 days at one point. So it's not for a whole 12 months, 60 days at a time. And it's good for a year. Price is 3 million rupees, not excluding or not including visa agent fees. Why would you want one of those? Well, maybe you're a business person. Maybe you are doing some medical stuff like dental work. And so you come in, you get some dental work done. They say, come back next month. You go back to Australia or whatever, and then you come back again and you've already got the visa. You don't have to go through that process. Prices for the extension of the multiple trip visa, 2 million, like for the other one. So 3 million for the initial application fee and 2 million for extensions. Now, there is some information in here, and I don't know exactly what this means, but it says that you have to have insurance and you have to prove that you've got at least $2,000. Now, the way that this was done before was that the agent as your guarantor, that's the money, and so you don't have to do that. I haven't seen anybody or heard of anybody doing that. And in terms of the insurance, they stopped that before. And so I don't know why this is in here, if it's something new or why it's there at all. Can't answer that. Are people being asked to show proof of insurance? Not that I've heard of. And if you don't have insurance, you can give a statement saying that you're willing to pay independently if you get COVID-19. So this is in here. Is it enforced? I don't know. If anybody is going through the process of getting a multiple entry visa, leave a comment about what you were asked to provide, please. What about the pandemic ending, right? I talked about this a couple of videos ago. Pak Jokowi said, yeah, no rush. It's going to happen, but we don't have to jump into it. COVID-19 pandemic could soon end, says President Jokowi. So, changing his tune. The president mentioned the possibility that the government will announce the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the pandemic is certainly dying down and maybe soon we will declare the end of the pandemic. And of course, many, many people in Indonesia, tourists, locals, foreign residents, have already decided the pandemic is over. You can tell by their behavior. President Jokowi reminded people that the economy is not fully recovered yet, and it may get worse even because of the war between Ukraine and Russia. He said uncertainty is very high. Each and every country is in a very difficult position right now. PIA, like all European currencies, has really taken a hit compared to the dollar. Yesterday, over 15,300. Pak Jokowi's announcement came after WHO Director General said that the global community is heading towards an end of the pandemic. And so, do we have an announcement coming up before G20 happens? Who knows? Could be. We'll just have to wait and see. And what about G20? Police set 5 priority security areas for Bali G20 Summit. If you live down in these areas, things are probably going to be pretty tight coming up very, very soon. The National Police Polri has determined 5 priority security areas: Seminyak, Jimbaran, North Nusa Dua, South Nusa Dua, and Sanur during the G20 Summit from November 15th to 16th. So you don't want to be in any of those areas on the 15th or 16th. Good time to stay at home or take a trip maybe to Lombok or to North Bali. The 5 areas are prioritized because all delegates, including presidential activities, will be centralized there, according to Polri Assistant Operations Chief Inspector. He said police officers assigned to the G20 Summit will serve for 10 days, from the 7th to the 17th of November. So far, Polri has readied over 5,000 security personnel for operations at the summit, along with 1,600 members of the police serving as a reserve force. The number of troops deployed could be increased depending on developments on the ground at the time. According to Pak Effendi, police are preparing special vehicles, so there's ships, helicopters, and escort cars to secure the area. And as I mentioned before, all motorized vehicles used by police during the security operations for G20 will be electric. Pak Effendi noted that the police have prepared traffic engineering on 10 roads and installed 4,600 surveillance cameras that are connected to police command center. Wow, they're going all out here. We have prepared the necessary equipment, starting from checking doors, x-ray vehicles, and special vehicles for the special task, he said. The G20 Summit in Nusa Dua is the peak of a series of G20 activities that have been taking place in Indonesia since December 2021. And so we've got just over a month to go, and then it will be over. And Canggu, of course, I've got to mention Canggu. And I mean, it's clear that, I think Canggu is, wow, a different world. And so here is an interesting article. Immigration Corner will be present at Kampung Bule. The article says Canggu. The Immigration Directorate of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights plans to build an immigration corner, which will cooperate with the Canggu traditional village. So if you are in Canggu, there is going to be an immigration corner there. The article says it is known, this time the Canggu area is known as Kampung Caucasian, or Kampung Bule, because it's inhabited by many expatriates and foreign tourists. For this reason, the immigration corner is being built as an effort to overcome the problem of foreign tourists in Canggu area. Now, okay, that's the translation problem. Maybe it's the problem that foreign tourists have, I don't know, but foreign tourists in Canggu have also caused a lot of problems over the last few years. Immigration corner will be built just like a traffic police post. Okay, that's interesting. So it's not going to be a big, huge thing. Later, for example, a foreigner who loses a document can take care of it at the immigration corner, according to the Acting Director General of Immigration. Plan is to have this in place by the end of the month, this month. The program is expected to be able to overcome various problems, especially the immigration of foreign tourists who are vacationing in Canggu, as well as those who have lived here for a long time or there. As is known, Canggu is known as a digital nomad tourist area. Therefore, supervision and monitoring must continue to be carried out in order to maintain the image of Bali tourism in the eyes of the world. God, let's not define Bali tourism by what goes on in Canggu. And speaking of bules, a Bule Behaving Badly segment, and this one has people riled up. Another tourist found sitting in a sacred temple building, Bali secretary. Tourism stakeholders must be orderly. So a foreigner sat in one of the temples in Candi Kuning up in Batariti and took a photo of himself. You can see it, the picture here at the start of the segment, and posted it, of course, on his social media, and it has people riled up. As of now, immigration offices still searching for the identity of the foreigner. The identity of the foreigner is already known because Nilu Jelantic got in and posted some stuff about him on his Instagram page, I guess, and he asked her to remove it, and she said no. The regional secretary of Bali province, Dewa Made Indra, said that this case shows that all tourism stakeholders need to be orderly. He said tourists were sent by their travel agents, by their guides. They must have the same attention and commitment as the regional government, PEMDA, later, so as not to say that the local government is misled and even tourists go everywhere without a tour guide. Tourists go everywhere without a tour guide here. How many people use the tour guide? Some, but a lot of people just wander around, especially Instagrammers and influencers and TikTokers and the YouTubers. He said these videos and photos often go viral long after they've been taken, so we cannot take action. He said, however, if the tourist is found, action can be taken quickly and he can be punished. Pakdewa emphasized that this commitment of all parties cannot be done only by the tourism office. It has to be done by tourists, by local officials, and by travel agents as well. The tourist involved, who at one point was identified as an American and then later as a Thai national, expressed his apology in English, where he apologized for the photo that offended everyone. In addition, he admitted that when he took the photo, the atmosphere was quiet, there was nobody there, and so he had no information that it was forbidden to do so. He said, I apologize for the erroneous photo for everyone who's offended by this. Since the place where the photo was taken was deserted, I had no information that it was prohibited to take photos here. In addition to apologizing, the owner of the account also deleted the photos containing himself sitting on the palingi. And Nilu Jelantic said in response to the tourists saying, well, there were no signs there, nobody was there, so I didn't know that I couldn't just go into the temple and sit up there. I'm not sure how clueless all these tourists are. And in response to this, Nilu Jelantic said, it's your responsibility when you're a guest in another country to figure out what you can and can't do. You shouldn't have to wait for people to tell you, no, you can't do that. Think about it. Do some research. She said, Google's open 24 hours a day. Okay, that is it. Thanks for all the comments and the well wishes about the education channel, the English channel that I want to start in a few weeks. I appreciate it. And about my eyes, and I am working on taking care of that. I've got to deal with some insurance issues and, well, some other things. And if you didn't see the cooking video the other day, here's a link to the cooking video with my wife. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And I will see you on Monday.